The year is 325. Christianity has recently been legalized by Emperor Saint Constantine I, a feat that would grant him the title of equal to the apostles. But not all is good, and the ongoing tensions within the church are making the newly converted emperor uneasy. Constantine wants a unified Christendom to strengthen the Roman Empire and by extension his rule. However, a dangerous heresy is holding sway in Egypt. It was Arianism. Welcome to a brief description of the Council of Nicaea to celebrate its 1700th anniversary that falls this year of the Lord 2025. Now, how did the Council of Nicaea start? Again, it was basically to discuss Arianism. For Arians, Christ was the Son of God. Yes, but he wasn't there from the beginning. Arius, priest in Alexandria, under bishop and later saint Athanasius the Great, argued that there had to have been a beginning to the Son of God. And if that was so, then he couldn't also be God. The Arian position had caught interests from many bishops in the East, threatening indeed to divide the church, and so Constantine did something unprecedented. He called for an ecumenical council, where all the bishops of the known world, which coincidentally was mostly the Roman Empire anyway, were to participate and then come to an agreement. And yeah, as I said, that is how the Council of Nicaea came to be. For Constantine, the subject of the agreement was not of interest. In fact, for him, the debate over the Arian or Trinitarian positions were very confusing games of semantics that no regular person could understand. Not so for either the Arians or the Trinitarians, who were heavily invested in their theology. The whole debate hinged upon the word homoousion, of the same substance, in regards of Christ and God the Father. For the Arians, this was not acceptable, as they held the view that such a definition was Sabellianism, an earlier heresy already condemned by the Church at large, which argued that God the Father and God the Son are the exact same person. And in fact, Sabellianism was just a recrudescence of a previous heresy, modalism, a 3rd century heresy that postulated that the Father would sometimes show himself as the Son and other times the Holy Spirit, and in fact, the Godhead was not composed of 3 persons, but the 3 persons of the Trinity were just different ways in which the Father would show himself, and neither could manifest at the same time, for they were, again, not different persons. For the Trinitarians, implying that Christ was a creature, even if a divine one, would logically lead to the consequence that his sacrifice on the cross was ultimately insufficient, because how could a mere creature save the entirety of creation? It just wouldn't make sense. And so, the Council of Nicaea was held in the eponymous city, which is now Iznik in Turkey, with Constantine presiding it and showing unprecedented humility for a Roman emperor, as he is reported kissing in respect Thomas, Bishop of Marash, whom had been deprived of one of his eyes in a recent persecution by Diocletian 18 years earlier. No matter how the council went, Constantine was given a strong signal. He was in charge, yes, but Christianity was no longer the religion of misfits and rejects, but hopefully the future religion of a new and unified empire, a Christian empire. Council Fathers discussed from May to late July 325. In the end, as we know, Arius was declared a heretic. Did this bring the unity Constantine sought so much? No, definitely not. While the West was unified in adherence to the creed, some bishops in the East, and Arians as well, did not accept to acquiesce to the Nicene doctrine at all. In fact, the Arians continued their proselytism even abroad, and subsequent emperors, especially Constantius II, tried again to achieve a unified church, this time by applying persuasive methods to convince the minority positions, the Trinitarians, to come to a compromise with the Arians, issuing forth something called semi-Arianism, a doctrine which stated that Christ was homoiousion with the Father, the I changing the meaning completely, however, and meaning of a similar substance but not quite the same. Again, something that appeared to even Emperor Constantius II to be mere semantics and honestly not really all that important, but still something to which the Trinitarians would not and could not accept, for it would mean, again, that Christ wouldn't be God. Finally, it wasn't until the time of Theodosius that things changed and unity of faith in the empire was achieved. Theodosius was a fervent Trinitarian and called for a second ecumenical council, partly to put to rest for good Arianism within the empire, and partly to defeat another heresy that had reared its head, one which denied the divinity of the Holy Spirit, pneumatomachy. However, as Rome's faith had been unified by 381 at the Council of Constantinople, Arianism really hadn't been fully defeated. In fact, the Germans have developed quite a passion for being Arian, something that would go on for centuries and would again come back in the 1930s, but, well, for a different definition of being Arian. So, what is the legacy of Nicaea? Well, many Protestants nowadays are still critical of it, or outright reject it, holding Arian positions, such as Jehovah's Witnesses, Oneness Pentecostals, Unitarians, or Quakers. However, we can definitely see it as the event that solidified the Trinity and brought Christianity from a niche cult to an accepted and respectable religion in Roman first, and then by consequence Western culture in general. Because after this happened, pretty much it became clear to all that Christianity was here to stay and paganism was losing forever. And that's pretty much what happened. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish all of you a very pleasant day, and God bless you. Bye bye.